It's Mothgirl on a rock. Yes, indeed it is. So, you may have been able to tell from the title that I'm doing another instance here, and you may also know that because I'm in Twilight Highlands, it could only mean one thing. We're not sightseeing here, we're in fact going to Batol. This is the last of the level 80 to 85 instances that I have to cover. I gotta say, probably one of the most fun instances. I don't know. Oh, there's the Crucible of Carnage. For those that didn't know, that is the Ring of Blood type event, and you can find it there in Twilight Highlands. A very cool looking area, I gotta say. I've yet to explore it all. I've yet to look at it all because I didn't even really get to quest very much here. I sort of got level 85 when I just started questing here, and it's a bit of a waste for me, but anyway. So I'm giving you a bit of a look at where the entrance is. I don't even think you need to scout the instance entrances anymore with patch 4.0.6, but I'll show you anyway. That's where you enter Batol. Not very difficult to find, and I don't know, I think it's just useful knowing where it is. Very cool. So here we go. Let's join the queue. Absolutely glorious. So it's got a very cool loading screen, and yes, I love it. I love the fact that I can queue instantly. The nice thing about this instance was that there were 3 quests right here at the start. That's one of the greatest things. Another one of the greatest things is this wolf. I mean, every time I see this pet, I'm just astounded at how cool it looks. If I had a hunter, I'd definitely get that pet. No doubt about it. It just looks so cool. And I think people that don't take the time to appreciate that and look at them and like zoom in nice and close really aren't enjoying the game and taking it for all it's worth. But anyway, okay. So the quests here, you gotta slay Erudax. Okay, that's not too difficult. You'll see, basically you're gonna run into these guys. They are the bosses in the instance, and there's no way of really missing them. And here I'm just quickly applying all the buffs that I can find, all the random potions I got in my inventory, flasks, all that stuff. And the other is you got to kill the courier and get the missive to Cho'Gall. But yeah, so we'll get to those when we get to them. Anyway, so you start the instance here with just killing a bunch of normal mobs, Trog dwellers. They're all over the place, and obviously this I was a bit confused because it didn't count towards the quest. I've got a quest called Soften Them Up, and the Trog dwellers didn't really work with that. You'll see exactly where you got to kill those in just a minute or two. But yeah, so then after that you jump straight into the difficult stuff and the big groups here. But I had a very nice party. I mean, I had a hunter that immediately, no joking around, he just throws the trap in there, he pulls for me, and I don't mind if someone does that. If they know what they're doing, if a hunter or any other crowd controller, maybe even a mage can do it as well, can trap or polymorph or whatever, crowd control successfully without messing anything up, without pulling extra groups, it does actually make it a lot easier for the tank. And then again, it's also great if they crowd control the ranged mob. That's the seer over there, and obviously the only ranged one in that group. If he had crowd controlled one of the others, it would make it a lot more difficult for me because I'd actually have to charge in there and interrupt the seer, pull him back, and then carry on. And these groups here looked incredibly daunting. Look at the size of them. Again, not too much of a problem. We had a warrior again that was once, like, I just love it. He's on the ball, he quickly charges in there, interrupts, and pulls the mob closer. So it was a breeze tank in this. I think the healer in this run full epicked out. It's actually my girlfriend, Twigs, over there. She had no problem at all healing it as far as I could tell. My gear has improved a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit, and the instance overall wasn't too difficult. It was a lot of fun though. You'll see it's got some good moments. So the groups here, they do look big, but as I always say, if you can just pop 1 or 2 of your smaller cooldowns to make it a bit easier on the healer, it's not too bad. And how cool do these Azure-born Guardians look, and the Crimson-born Guardian I suppose as well. They got these flames on their backs, and I really do think that they they look amazing. So with the crowd control here, again, I read in the comments that you guys helped me out with that. I didn't know that. I'll tell this to anyone who didn't read the comments of the previous Mothgirl. thrash, swipe, all those AoE abilities, they do break crowd control, so I was extra careful here to try not to break them. I think I only broke one crowd control in the whole thing, but anyway, I'll get to that when I get to that again. So here you have to jump on these drakes at about the same time, and because you do that so that you can get the quests completed. And then what happens is you just have to keep bombing away at these mobs, because this is the area that you can actually move through in just a couple of minutes. So once you're done on this flight pathy thing, you're going to move on to this area, and if you soften the units up enough, ooh, what a coincidence, that's the quest's name, then it just makes it that much quicker. You can actually do a ton of damage to them, and then you encounter these groups with like hardly any HP, and it's probably the most fun that I've ever had. Like, finding a group that you haven't even sort of attacked yet, and they're already sitting on like 10% HP on each mob, and some of them were even dead. It's just amazing. It's really cool, and I think it's a great thing that Blizzard added that, so you got to really pay attention here. And I know that there's a little trick that I was doing here. If you select the button click very quickly twice in a row, you can get 2 shots off for the price of 1 cooldown, which is something you really got to try do. We did it a lot. I don't know if that's maybe just because I got really high latency that I can cheat that or get that in there, but it works well, really well. So to remember to do that, do it very quickly. My key was R there, so R click twice in a row, and you can do 2 explosions for the price of 1 cooldown. Try it out, definitely worth doing. And you guys may have realized that I've got my recount on for this run. First time ever, yes. I've also installed Deadly Boss mods, also a first for me. I never use these mods and stuff. I used to use them back in Burning Crusade when we were still running Karazhan and stuff. I had a nice little 10-man guild back then, which was fun. But anyway, so I've got that installed now, and it's helping out a bit. What didn't help out is that my damage done was at the top of the group the whole time. Yes, the whole time. I don't know if that's how Druid tanks are meant to be. I don't know if Druid tanks are meant to out DPS absolutely everything, but I did. It's probably because of all the AoE, and I was sort of the one who could selectively use the AoE when I wanted to. I could choose when I wanted to AoE and when I wanted to try preserve the crowd control, so I guess I had a bit of an advantage there. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked from the actual instance. These groups here, it's usually better to crowd control the ranged units, as I said, but when they're as low as they are, like these are, then I think it's probably the best idea just to run in and try kill them as quick as you can, because they do die fast. Just focus down the lower ones. We didn't even bother marking here because I didn't deem it necessary. Most of the marking in this run was actually done by the hunter. Amazing. I would love to have a hunter like that in every single group, but anyway, that's just a pipe dream for me. It doesn't happen. Usually your groups are nowhere near as nice as this one was. So you can skip a few of these groups. You can see that we've already skipped 1 or 2 of them. And if you just run close, stick to the edges of these passageways here, then you can actually just run straight past them. So also worth checking out. Watch if you can skip it before pull-in, especially as a tank, because the tank usually dictates where you're going to go and what you're going to do. But here we go. We got to the first boss, General Ambroise, and he's pretty interesting. I actually liked the sort of mechanics that they used in this instance a lot more than all the other ones, because the bosses, each of them is so different. So Ambroise here, I was told to tank it. Basically, this is the first time I'm here. I've never done it before. I was told to tank it back at the entrance, so I'm pulling him back slowly but surely. Never pull too fast because you're not going to get enough aggro on him. I pulled him back, and there come a lot of ads. You can see the Trog Dwellers there. Trog Dwellers there that come from up at the top and the sides and stuff, and the DPS just need to focus them down. It's not very difficult. They don't have very much HP. And then basically Mr. Ambroise, you got to face him away from your group because he does that ground siege which you just saw there, and that'll damage everyone that it hits in a line. You can't stop it or anything. And then his other skill, here you go, is Blitz. So he chooses to cast Blitz on someone. It's a charge basically, and he'll target that person, but if that person moves, he won't follow them. So quite simply, you just have to, when he targets you, you run out of the way, and no one else must stand in that path. Then you'll charge there, you make sure it hits no one. Not very difficult, just get out of the way, and then you'll waste it. You'll run straight back to the tank, and that's it. As far as I could tell, he didn't hit me once with a blitz here, so I'm not sure if he can't target the tank or if we just got lucky here or something. But then again, there's the ground siege. Gotta be careful for that. Just get out of the way, and it's quite easily avoided. Otherwise, I mean, it's simple. Ads, and 2 things to jump out of the way from. I'm pretty sure, once again, as I always say, in Heroics there's something special that he does that's different. But probably bigger ads or something like that. But he didn't do anything like that here. And then he dropped some mail. I'm always plagued by the mail. When I think, okay, this is a nice run, time to get me some items, then none of them drop. It's just a curse that I have. But then again, you know, I'm a druid. I can't complain about that. I can roll on anything that's not mail or plate. So, anyway, continuing, carrying on. That was the first boss, General Ambroise. We're moving on to the second now. There's a big group of Trog dwellers there, and you should just probably wait for them to come back before pulling the rest of these groups. I like the fact that they get the big trash out of the way before you get to the bosses. So that first bit of trash that we did now, that was, I think, pretty much the most in the entire instance. From here on, the bosses come at pretty regular intervals. There's a bit more trash, a few more groups, but it's nothing really big. And I gotta say that it's nothing really irritating or anything. And there, I nearly let the crowd control stay up, but I charged the wrong one, so, yeah, whoops by me. Again, I'm going to point out that I'm really far ahead on the damage meters, and I just do think that that's probably because not too many deep AoE classes in the group. A hunter can't really AoE like as well as a mage or a warlock, for instance, can. So I'm just assuming that our mage was not really even trying to AoE. So yeah, I'm just going to think that's what happened. Anyway, so you can see our hunter again being on the ball and marking the boss with a nice little coin there, making sure we know where he is. The boss walks up and down here. You've got to be careful for him. I'll talk about him in just a second when we get to him. But these groups here, you can just, as we always do, crowd control one, kill the others. Quite straightforward. As a tank, it's probably the most annoying thing ever, trying to tank a caster mob, because you've got to stand right against them if you want to damage them, or interrupt their spells and let them come to you, which is not always that easy. But it's just annoying because you have to keep moving around and you can't just keep hitting those mobs, and then you can't generate the rage that you need, and you know, all those problems, they sort of stack up over time. So once you've cleared those groups out, you just stand back and wait, because I don't think you want Forge Master Throngus to catch you off guard. Yes, what a peculiar name. I'm not sure about that. Anyway, this boss is very interesting. As I said, I love the bosses in this run. They're so diverse, so different, and actually pretty interesting overall. So he's got some special abilities. He picks a weapon, and then whichever weapon he picks, you got to do something different. So with these dual blades that he just picked up here, apparently you got to disarm him if possible. And you also have to move out of the fire. That's another thing. He's a Forge Master. It's inevitable that he's going to make some fire. I actually struggled a bit to move out of the fire the whole time, because the new particle effects on the fire, they look a lot different, okay? They're not these big splotches on the ground, so it's a little bit more difficult to see. So with these blades, basically, you've got to get someone to disarm him, and I obviously couldn't do that. And apparently in Heroic, you've got to dispel the tank as well. I'm not sure about that, but that's what I heard. And when he picks up the shield, his personal phalanx, then you just have to stand behind him, and then you do extra damage. If you attack from the front, you're going to do absolutely nothing. So our hunter was actually not even bothering to get behind, which I suppose is not a big deal. But if you can get behind him, you do full damage. In front, you do absolutely nothing. And that's pretty much it there. As you can see, a lot of AoE on the ground there, and you have to stay away from that too. So be careful for that, and try pay attention to where you stand in. I was told that there's another weapon that he picks up, which is a two-handed mace, and when he's got that, he moves incredibly slowly, and you've got to kite him around. But I didn't get that here, so I can't really comment on how easy or difficult it was. So anyway, moving on. Interesting actually that there are so many Grons here that are being enslaved and stuff, and these Grons were the big thing. They were all the rage in Burning Crusade. Back in Outland, they were boss, but it seems like here in Grim Batol, they are the slaves, and they're being controlled. So that's interesting stuff right there. I enjoyed that. And I also enjoyed how this instance looks. I say that for nearly every single one of them, but it's got a nice Blackrock depth sea look about it. Just obviously some updated graphics and really pretty stuff. I enjoyed it all, and I had a lot of looking around as well. I do think that sightseeing a little bit when you can is definitely worth it. So I don't know, on the whole, I think this is probably my favorite of all the runs that I did. Funny enough, I mean, it just feels like if you do it properly with a nice group, it can be really quick and very rewarding, because it is one of the higher level ones. So now, not taking into account that when you do it on heroic, then they're all the same level. But when you're not doing heroics yet, this is the high level one, so your loot's going to be better. The quests rewards are probably going to be a little bit better. So I gotta say, this was one of my favorites for the amount of stuff that you can get from it. And also 3 quests right at the start, never going to complain about that. So here's another little part where you can just skip some of the groups, well, some of the mobs here. And personally, I'll skip whatever I can, because on level 85, think about it, you don't need the experience. The rep, you'll get that anyway. There's no need to sort of try get every single little bit of rep out of every single little group. So I gotta say, rather just skip them when you can. And look over there at the left hand side, look how low those groups are. That is so cool. It's nice engaging, stuff like that. You'll probably one-shot those mobs just as you head in there, so that's cool. So we pull in the patrol here, then we're gonna move on and take this group. It looks big, but it's not really, because they're gonna die very quickly. And this is the other part, that other little passage that we did soften up with our Drake run. If any of you guys have done this on heroic, I wouldn't mind if you can tell me like a little bit about how different it is, how much more difficult it is, because I mean, on heroic, all the dungeons are meant to be around the same difficulty. I'm not sure if Blizzard had an idea of that, but I mean, they're supposed to be around the same, because they're all level 85 then. And I'd just like to know if this is more difficult than the others, or actually easier. Which of the level 85 heroics are the most difficult? I haven't actually even bothered asking that question to anyone, but I know that a lot of the bosses and stuff get a lot more complex when you run them on heroic. A lot more things that you got to remember, watch out for, and do. But I can't wait to do this one specifically on heroic. I might try like one of the easier ones first, because you know, the lower level ones generally, and not always, but generally, they're a little bit more noob friendly, and even if you do them on heroics, they sort of tend to be, let's just say, easier to cope with, and I suppose the mechanics and stuff they used there were a little bit simpler. And here's another mob we haven't actually spoken about yet, the Twilight Wormcallers. Quite interesting. It's nice, a bit different again. They summon these Twilight Drakes that'll just start attacking you. Yeah, I was actually quite worried about fighting on this bridge, because I didn't want to fall down. I'm not sure what happens if you... I don't know if you can even fall down there. I didn't want to try, because I don't want to look like a fool in this instance run. But that would be a bit of a shame. You know, these Drakes sometimes have knockback abilities, wing flaps, or whatever you want to call them. Wing flaps, seriously. Wing buffets. Okay, anyway, they got those knockback effects, and if he had done something like that, yeah, we would have been in some big trouble. Anyway, so they're straightforward, simple. You can just DPS them down, and nothing special. Then you just skip the group on the left and keep going. We do love skipping. Yes, we do. So back to what I was talking about before, about there being like not too much trash in this instance. I love it. I mean, I like the fact that they spaced it as well as they did, because you do a little bit of trash, and before you really get bored of the trash and like want to gouge your eyes out and just quit AFK out of there, they give you another boss just to entertain you and give you some loot to keep you going, to keep the motivation up, the spirits high. And I think that's really clever. Like, some instances they really do give you way too much trash between the bosses, especially if it's a really long instance. And say you're going to spend 50 minutes in there and it's only got 2 or 3 bosses, then you're going to spend quite a few of those 50 minutes on trash, because there has to obviously be a lot of trash in there. Okay, so the next boss, at last. No, not at last. It was actually pretty quick. Drugga Shadowburner. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but it'll have to do. So this is a 2-phase boss. You start off by just attacking this mob over here. You can see he's got some Twilight-inspired armor on there. And he goes down incredibly quickly. And what'll happen is, throughout the fight, he'll summon these elementals, incinerate them minions. There you go. And the elementals will focus one person and run at them. Basically, you can see there it's focusing the hunter at the moment. And you got to DPS them down before they reach the hunter, or whoever their target is, because when they reach them, they explode, and they do a lot of damage. That's incredibly difficult to heal, and I know that in heroic it'll pretty much kill you one time. You'll die instantly. So basically, if you get targeted by that, run back, and the DPS have to focus it as fast as they possibly can. And as far as I can tell, if you're the tank, you also got to be careful for that. I'm not sure if it targets the tank or not, but if it does, you got to be careful and keep the boss maybe a little bit further away, give the DPS a bit of a gap, and when the boss starts casting that, get back. Just stand back a bit and watch who it's gonna go for next. I think that's probably the best in like advice I can give you. And then another thing which I should probably not even mention anymore is don't stand in the fire, or in this case I think it's pretty much steam, but don't stand in it. Another thing that the boss does is they shoot this sort of just a big attack which you can't, I mean, even if I got aggro on it the whole time, it'll target one of the party members and shoot this missile bolt fireball-y kind of thing at your party members, and the healer just needs to sort of buck up and try heal through it. Otherwise, the boss itself, I think pretty difficult, okay, because there's a lot you got to watch out for, and okay, it's called Valiona's Flame, that's the one, there you go. It's once again a fight that the healers, tanks and DPS really need to pay attention in. If the DPS fail by not moving out of the way or killing the ads fast enough, then the healers have a tough time. If the tank stands in the steam like a certain Mothgirl is doing right now, things get a bit messy as well. So you'll see close to the end of the fight, Valiona abandons Draga here and leaves him to fend for himself, and needless to say, he doesn't do too well. Once again, not really any loot that I want here, but I did get my bouquet of red roses. That was one of the last things that I needed for my Love is in the Air achievement, and I was hoping upon hope that I would win it here, and I did. I'll give you a spoiler, I won it. Again, no loot for me here, but I think that the quest items definitely made up for it. One of our party members was complaining about lag. That's no excuse. That is no excuse at all. If you die in this encounter, then it's probably not lag, and you're just saying lag because you're ashamed, and I suppose I can understand that. I mean, do you guys ever have that? Do you guys ever have someone that the second they make a mistake, then it's immediately lag? But before then, I gotta tell you, before then, they haven't complained once. So what happens is they play an entire raid through, then you get to the difficult boss that you know they're gonna fail on, that they always fail on, and then suddenly they apparently lag in. I'm making some air quotes right now, but you can't see it, but apparently they lag in when they reach that boss. I hate that. Like, it happens so often. In the rare case that they are lagging, the chances that it hits at that exact time when you start the boss, or when that skill happens, that ability happens that they have to dodge, is just so slim. Okay, it is really slim. But yeah, okay, wait. I should rather rant about like the damage done or something, not about that. So I'll stop now. I'll stop. Anyway, another worm crawler here, another drake here to kill. So that was the third boss, and the second last one. We're heading on to the last boss now, which in my opinion was the coolest one, definitely. Really fun to do. And it sort of looks a lot like the boss from Untitled, the Old Kingdom. It looks cool to me, really cool. I don't know what they call them. It's escaping me right now. The name for those mobs, maybe I'll remember it sometime, I suppose. But I like the fact that Blizzard hid this one group of mobs under this archway, so it's like one quick dose of difficulty before you get to the boss at the end, because I think you can hit them when you do your Drake run. It's just you gotta aim very carefully. It looks like one person managed to get one shot off in there, and there's another tip for everyone. Try get a few more shots off in there, because that seems to be the one group that no one hits. Another thing that I sort of failed on was we didn't get enough of the Trog dwellers. And I assume that's because you don't really need to kill them if you're just doing the instance for funsies. I'm assuming most of these guys have done the quests already. So if you do have the quests, make sure to ask your friends, your party members, just to help you out with that, because I didn't, and it seems like I have to do it again just for that one quest, which I'm going to do it again anyway, but just saying, just putting that out there. Watch out when you do this. And another thing is, just watch out when you're walking past here. I mean, lucky for us, we didn't have a single wipe in this run, and I'm very grateful for that, very thankful that we had a nice group, a bunch of people that actually knew what they were doing, mostly at least. And ooh, stand out of the swirling, glowing stuff, please, Swin. But yes, thankfully we had a good group, and we didn't wipe, we didn't pull any unnecessary groups, and things just went quite smoothly. So this is probably as good as I could have hoped for. Anyway, we're in the last room now, and Faceless. There's the name that I was looking for. Faceless. I think that's what I was looking for, at least. So you got one group left to do here, and then two single mobs. and then you onto the last boss. So with these groups, again, simple, straightforward stuff. I don't really think it's worth even saying what they do. I mean, it's just basically the DPS have to watch out, not stand in those swirling pools, all that stuff. I think we've covered that already, so I don't really need to say more about that. And again, nice that I'm getting some practice done with the crowd control, because I do think I'm going to struggle a lot when I get to heroics. I'm not the most skilled of tanks, and I'll probably struggle with the whole trying to keep the CC up while trying to keep aggro on the mobs, because I know in heroics the damage from the DPS is a lot higher. It really is. I mean, the guys have some crazy gear, full epics, item level 5,000, you know, just they have a lot of good gear, so it's a lot harder to keep that initial bit of aggro. But anyway, maybe my gear will be better by then as well. I think I'm on item level 225 or something, 325, sorry. I'm nearly at heroic level, so it'll happen. I'll start doing them soon. So the last boss, Erodax. He is one bad looking guy. Look at that. You don't want to mess with this guy. He has got biceps of doom. Some crazy tentacle stuff there. I mean, I just don't actually understand the theme here because he looks very weird. But anyway, cool nonetheless. He's got some crab pincers there too. The abilities that he does, pretty straightforward stuff. When he does this the shadow missile thing, I'm not sure what it's called. I think it's called Bind in Shadows. Then the DPS or whoever he targets actually have to jump out of the way. And then when he does that knockback effect on the tank, he'll do that over and over again. Then the tank has to run away till the debuff disappears, and then you can engage him again. And then lastly, Shadow Gale. When he does Shadow Gale, you got to run to the center of this swirling maelstrom of shadow and stay there till it ends. You can see our DPS's pets weren't really standing there and didn't really make a big difference, but you should stand there till it ends, else you're going to take some serious damage. Otherwise, what he does is he summons ads, and apparently if they get to the eggs that they're heading for, they heal the boss pretty quickly, or something like that. I don't know, I don't think it really happened. We didn't really get, like, our DPS was on the ball once again. They did what they were supposed to do, and things just went very smoothly for us. So you'll see he does that shadow skill again, Bind in Shadows, and it shows exactly on the ground where it's going to hit, so there's no excuse to not dodge it. It's really quite easy. And he'll do the knockback again, so you'll get another good look at that. And he does Shadow Gale again. There you go. It's quite easy, okay? But I gotta say, like I said before, oh, and don't be tempted to run out and try get a few free shots on him, because it does do a lot of damage. You gotta stay in the middle. But as I said before, I like the diversity in this instance. There was a lot of interesting stuff here. The bosses were quite cool to do. And there you go, he does the feeble body on Mothgirl once again. Basically a 2 or 3 second debuff, not very difficult to dodge that. You can see our DPS were doing a pretty good job here. They were taking the ads down in no time at all, and keeping the boss going down very fast as well. So I gotta say, all in all, a pretty successful run and a pretty fun run. I recommend this to anyone, like above all the other instances I've done thus far. This is a really good one. So again, I don't know the heroic difficulty changes here. I'm going to do it on heroic sometime, so I'll be able to tell you then when I do it. But yes, I'll recommend Grim Batol to anyone playing WoW at the moment. A lot of fun. There you go, I even get the achievement for doing it for my first time. And lo and behold, no cool gear for me. Some very weird items here, and strength items. You know, I'm plagued with strength items. I really hate it, and it's really irritating that I can't really use it at all. I want that agility, I really do. So here's that little trick that I keep doing. Teleport out of the dungeon, teleport straight back in, and you can hand your quests in at the start of the instance. Very easy, very cool. And I also, like, I'll say it again, do that if you can, because, and try to do it before your party leaves, because if you don't do it before your party leaves, then you won't be able to teleport back in. So do it as quick as you can. So from this, I got a few nice rewards here. I got a helmet, finally, with the meta socket, so I got a meta gem in there immediately. And I don't have an enchant yet. I need to get some earthen ring rep for that, but I'll work on it. I'll work on it soon. My gear is starting to look a bit better. As I said before, I'm going to try to do the heroics quite soon, because I've just finished all of them on normal. I'm going to try get a few items ready, get items together, get some enchants, some gems, all that stuff. And there's the helmet, looking quite snazzy. I don't like helmets at all. I usually just keep it off. And there's a wave from the freshly helmeted Mothgirl saying goodbye and thanks for watching. I'll be back soon with another run of something or other. I'm not sure what just yet. If you have any suggestions what my first heroic should be, like, you can even suggest the most difficult one and I'll do it just for you guys, because that's how much I love you, and that's how willing I am to embarrass myself. So keep checking back here for more. Thanks for watching.